So by the big ships the Argives formed for battle, arming around you, Achilles. Achilles starved for war, and faced by the Trojan ranks along the plain's high ground. At the same time, from the peak of rugged, rigid Olympus, Zeus commanded Themis to call the gods to council. And so the powers assembled deep in Zeus's halls, nor did the god of earthquakes fail to hear the goddess. Surging up from the sea, he came to join their ranks, took his seat in their midst, and probed Zeus's plans. Why now, great king of the lightning? Why summon the gods to council once again? Still some concern for Troy and Achaea's armies, now that battle is set to burst in flames between them. But Zeus, who marshals the thunderheads, replied, God of the earthquake, well you know my plan, the strategy in my mind, and why I call you here. These mortals do concern me, dying as they are. Still, here I stay on Olympus' throne aloft, here in my steep mountain cleft, to feast my eyes and delight my heart. The rest of you, down you go. Go to Trojans, go to Achaeans, held by their side as a fixed desire drives each god to act. If Achilles fights the Trojans, unopposed by us, not for a moment will they hold his breakneck force. Even before now, they'd shake to see him coming. Now, with his rage and flame for his friend's death, I fear he'll raise the walls against the will of fate. And with that command, Zeus roused incessant battle. Down the immortals launched to the field of action. Now, while the gods had still kept clear of mortal men, the Achaeans kept on gaining glory. Great Achilles, who held back from brutal fighting so long, had just come blazing forth. Chilling tremors shook the Trojans' knees down to the last man, terrified at the sight. The headlong runner coming, gleaming in all his gear, a fire like man-destroying Ares. But once the Olympians merged with mortal fighters, strife, the mighty driver of armies, rose in strength, and Athena, billowing her stunning war cry, standing now at the edge of a deep-dug trench, outside the rampart, now at thundering cliffs she loosed her vibrant cry. And Ares, bellowing his cry from across the lines, churning black as a whirlwind, roaring down now from the city's crest, commanding Trojans on, and now rushing along the Simois banks and scaling sunlit hill. So the blissful gods were rousing both opposing armies. But blazing Achilles, straining to engage Prince Hector, plunging in battle with him beyond all others, Achilles yearning now to glut with Hector's blood, his, no other, Ares, who hacks at men behind his rawhide shield. But Aeneas it was, whom Phoebus, urger of armies, filled with power now and drove against Achilles. The whole plain filled with men and flashed with bronze, with troops and horses, and beneath their feet the earth quaked, as armies rushed together. And now in the no-man's land, two champions, greatest of all, strode enclosed, both men burning for battle. Aeneas, son of Anchises, and brilliant Achilles. Aeneas came up first with long, menacing strides, head tossing his heavy helmet, his charging shield thrust out to defend his chest, and shook his bronze spear. But over against him came Achilles, rearing like some lion out on a rampage, and a whole town of men has geared for the hunt to cut him down, all contempt. So now magnificent pride and fury lashed Achilles to go against Aeneas, the great-hearted fighter. As they closed on each other, both in range, the matchless runner Achilles opened up. Aeneas, why so far from your own ranks, standing all exposed? Does your courage really drive you to challenge me, in hopes of ruling your stallion-breaking friends and filling Priam's throne? Even if you killed me, would Priam drop his crown in your hands for that? The king has sons, he's sound of limb, no half-foot either. Or have the Trojans sworn to carve you a fine estate, the choicest land in the realm, rich in vineyards, and good tilled fields for you to lord it over? If only you kill me. But I think you'll find the work quite taxing. I seem to remember once. Yes, you fled from my spear. Or have you forgot the time that I caught you all alone? I cut you off from your flock and sent you scurrying down the slopes of Ida, running for dear life, legs driving, never a look behind. And you escaped that time. You fled to Larnassus's walls, but at one charge, I sacked the place with Athena's help and Father Zeus. I tore the day of freedom away from all the women, dragged them off as slaves. Zeus saved you then, and other gods joined in, but he won't save you now, I say. Though the hope goes racing through your mind, go back to your own rank and file, I tell you. Don't stand up against me, or you will meet your death. Even a fool learns something once it hits him. But Aeneas, taking a long, deep breath, said, "Come, Achilles. No more bragging on this way like boys. Your taunts can't turn me back. Not till we've fought it out with bronze. On with it. Taste the bite of each other's brazen spears." With that, he hurled a heavy lance at the great and awesome shield, and its massive surface clanged as it took the point. Achilles had thrust it forth with his strong fist, fearing staunch Aeneas' spear, with its long shadow, would drive its whole length lightly through his buckler. Groundless fear. The fighter had no idea at all that famous gifts of the gods do not break lightly, can't be crushed when a mortal's hands assail them. So now not even seasoned Aeneas' heavy shaft could smash Achilles' shield. The gold blocked it, forged in the god's gift. Achilles next. He hurled his spear and its long shadow flew, and the weapon struck the balance-round shield of Aeneas, under the outer rim where the bronze ran thinnest, backed by the thinnest bull's hide. Straight through the Pelian ash burst, the shield rang out with a screech, but Aeneas crouched low, holding the buckler off his chest, terrified as the shaft shot past his back, hurled so hard it plunged deep into the ground, even after it tore up 2 plies of the shield that cased his body. Dodging the big spear, Aeneas got to his feet. A dizzying swirl of anguish rushed down his eyes, blind with fear. The point had stuck so close, but drawing his sharp sword, Achilles charged, wild, hurtling towards him, loosing a savage cry as Aeneas hefted a boulder in his hands, a tremendous feat. No 2 men could hoist it, weak as men are now, but all on his own he raised it high with ease. Then and there, he'd have struck Achilles lunging in. The rock would have hit him square in casque or shield. The gear would have warded off grim death. And Achilles' closing would have slashed his life away with the well-honed blade, if Poseidon, the god of earthquakes, had not marked it quickly. The god of earthquakes surged through the clashing troops and raining spears to reach the place where the 2 famed heroes fought. Quickly he poured a mist across Achilles' eyes, wrenched a spear from stalwart Aeneas' shield, and laid the bronze-shod ashen shaft at Achilles' feet. And hoisted Aeneas off the earth, he flung him far. And Achilles stared with all his might, dazzled, disgusted too, and addressed his own great heart. "Impossible! Look! A marvel right before my eyes. That spear I hurled is lying here. On the ground, that man, I cannot see him, the one I hurled at. Wild to cut him down. Ah, so the deathless gods must love Aeneas too, and I thought his vaunts were empty, hollow boasting. Well, let him go, I say. Never, never again will he have the nerve to test my fighting power. Even now he was glad to save himself from death. Now, quick, I'll marshal our battle-hungry Argives, face the rest of the Trojans, test them, fight them down." And back to the lines he leapt and urged each man. "No more standing back from the Trojans, brave Achaeans. Now fighter go against fighter, out for bloodshed. It's hard for me, strong as I am, single-handed to make for such a force and fight them all. Why, not even Ares, the deathless god of war, not even Athena, for all their heavy labor, could hack a passage through such jaws of battle. But I, whatever fists and feet and strength can do, that I will do, I swear. Not hang back, not 1 inch. Straight through enemy columns I go plowing now. And no Trojan, I guarantee, will thrill with pleasure once he meets my spear head to head." Spurring his men on, while Hector, a flash in armor, urged his Trojans, thinking he'd go even up against Achilles. "No fear of Pelides now, my gallant Trojans. I too could battle the deathless gods with words. It's hard with a spear, the gods are so much stronger. Not even Achilles can bring off all his boasts. Some he'll accomplish, some cut short, half done. I am off to engage the man, though his fists are fire, and his fury burnished iron. Spurring them on to raise their spears for full assault, and the Trojans' fury massed and mounted. War cries broke, but Apollo suddenly stood by Hector, shouting, "Don't for a moment duel Achilles, Hector." So Hector drew back to his thronging comrades, terrified to hear the voice of a god. Not Achilles. Armored in battle power, down he flung on the Trojans, loosed barbaric cries, and his first kill was Iphition, Orontius' hardy son, and a chief of large contingents, born of a river nymph to Orontius, scourge of towns, below the tumultuous snow in the wealthy realm of Hyade. As the Trojan charged headlong, Achilles speared him square in the brow, his skull split in half, and down he crashed, Achilles exulting over him. "Here you lie, Orontius' son, most terrible man alive. Here's your deathbed, far from your birthplace, Gyges' lake, where your father's fine estate lies next to the Hylas, stacked with fish, and next to the whirling Hermus." Vaunting over the dark that swept the quarry's eyes, and the running rims of Argive war cars cut him to shreds at the onset's breaking edge. And next, Achilles lunged at Demoleon, son of Antenor, a tough defensive fighter. He stabbed his temple and cleft his helmet cheekpiece. None of the bronze plate could hold it, boring through the metal and skull. The bronze spear point pounded. Demolion's brains splattered all inside his casque. The Trojan beaten down in his fury. Hippodamus next. He leapt from his chariot, fleeing before Achilles. Achilles' spear shaft rammed him through the back, and he gasped his life away, billowing like some bull that chokes and grunts when the young boys drag him round. The lord of Halys' shrine, and the earthquake god delight to see them dragging. So he billowed now, and the man's proud spirit left his bones behind. He rushed with his spear at noble Polydorus, son of Priam. His father would not let him fight, ever. He was the youngest born of all his sons. Priam loved him most, the fastest runner of all. But now the young fool, mad to display his speed, went dashing along the front to meet his death. Just as he shot past, the matchless runner Achilles speared him in the back, where his war belt clasped. Golden buckles clinched both halves of his breastplate. Straight on through went the point and out the navel. Down on his knees he dropped, screaming shrill, as the world went black before him, clutched his bowels to his body, hunched and sank. But Hector, seeing his own brother Polydorus clutching his entrails, sinking limp to the ground, the mist came swirling down his eyes as well. He could bear no more. Wheeling off at a distance, shaking his whetted spear, he charged Achilles now, coming fierce as fire, but Achilles marked him quickly, and springing forth to take him, triumphed to himself. "Here is the man who's raked my heart the most, who's killed my cherished comrade." No more delay, dodging each other down the passageways of battle. Under his brow he glared at royal Hector, shouting, "Quick, charge me, the sooner to meet your death." But Hector, his helmet flashing, never flinched. "Don't think for a moment, Achilles, son of Peleus, you can frighten me with words like a child, a fool. I'm an old hand myself at trading taunts and insults. Well, I know you are brave, and I am far weaker, true, but all lies in the laps of the gods. Weaker I am, but I still might take your life with one hurl of a spear. My weapon can cut too. Long before now its point has found its mark." Grim reminder, he brandished the shaft and hurled with all his might, but Athena blew it back from Achilles, bent on glory. A quick light breath and the shaft flew back again to tall Prince Hector and fell before his feet. Achilles blazed, charging, raging to cut him down, loosing savage cries. But Phoebus whisked him away, easy work for a god, and wrapped him round in mist. 3 times the brilliant runner Achilles charged him, lunged with his bronze spear. 3 times he slashed at a cloud. Then, at Achilles' 4th assault, like something superhuman, his terrifying voice burst out winging words. "Now again! You've escaped your death, you dog! But a good close brush with death it was, I say. Now again, your Phoebus Apollo pulls you through, the one you pray to, wading into our storms of spears. We'll fight again. I'll finish you off next time, if one of the gods will only urge me on as well. But now I'll go for the others, anyone I can catch." Whirling, he stabbed Dryops, speared him right through the neck, He dropped at his feet, and Achilles left him dead, and smashed Demachus's knee. Philestor's strapping son stopped him right in his tracks with a well-flung spear, then sprang with his great sword and ripped his life away. Then on he rushed at the sons of Bios, Leogonus, Dardanus, hurled them off their chariot, slammed them both to the ground, one with a spear thrust and one chopped down with a blade. Then Tros, Elastor's son, crawled to Achilles' knees and clutched them, hoping he'd spared him, let Tros off alive, no cutting him down in blood. He'd pity Tros, a man of his own age, the young fool. He'd no idea, thinking Achilles could be swayed. Here was a man not sweet at heart, not kind, no, he was raging, wild. As Tros grasped his knees, desperate, begging, Achilles slit open his liver. The liver spurted loose, gushing with dark blood, drenched his lap, and the night swirled down his eyes as his life breath slipped away. And Mulius next. He reared and jammed his lance through the man's ear, so the lance came jutting out through the other ear, bronze point glinting. Icalchus, son of Agenor, next. Achilles split his head at the brow with the hilted sword, so the whole blade ran hot with blood, and red death came plunging down his eyes, and the strong force of fate. Deucalion next. He lanced his arm with a bronze-shod spear. He spitted the Trojan through where the elbow tendons grip, and there he stood, waiting Achilles, arm dangling heavy, staring death in the face, and Achilles chopped his neck, and his sword sent his head and helmet flying off together, and marrow bubbling up from the clean-cut neck bone. Down he went, his corpse full length on the ground, just as Achilles charged at Pyrrha's handsome son Rigmus, who'd sailed from the fertile soil of Thrace. Achilles pierced his belly, the bronze impaled his gut, and out of his car he pitched as his driver Ariathus swung the horses round. But Achilles speared his back, and the spear point heaved him off his chariot too, and the panicked stallions bolted. Achilles now, like inhuman fire, raging on through the mountain gorges, splinter dry, setting ablaze big strands of timber, the wind swirling the huge fireballs left and right. Chaos of fire. Achilles storming on with brandished spear like a frenzied god of battle, trampling all he killed, and the earth ran black with blood. Thundering on like oxen, broad in the brow, some field hand yokes to crush white barley, heaped on a well-laid threshing floor, and the grainness husked out fast by the billowing oxen's hooves. So was the great Achilles, rampaged on, his sharp-hoofed stallions trampled shields and corpses, axles under his chariot splashed with blood, blood on the handrail sweeping round the car, sprays of blood shooting up from the stallion's hooves, and churning, whirling rims. And the son of Peleus, charioteering on to seize his glory, bloody filth splattered both strong arms, Achilles' invincible arms.